In this episode, I show you how I go from this to this. Hello and welcome back to Chapel Station. My name's Mark and this is episode 35 of building my first model railway. As you'd have seen from the intro, this week is all about finishing my bridges and the viaduct. A lot of time spent weathering, painting and then installing them on the layout. And I'll show you exactly how I do it. So let's get into it. The bridge that you saw me painting, I weathered. Unfortunately, I didn't get any video of me weathering that, but as you can see, I've just really given it some different shades of grey, put some weathering powders on there as well, including the underneath. I don't know how much you can actually see the underneath, but put a bit of white stripping, a bit of blacks and browns, just to make it look like some old concrete bridge. I got a picture off the internet, which I'll just put a photo of it in here for you can see that I was sort of using as a bit of a reference point. So that's fitted in place, and then the Celotex boards below are also now glued, so that's all solid. The next thing is to do the viaduct at the back, and I've also started building the tunnel on the hillside. So now I've done all the tracks and now I can start doing that. I think I'm going to need to shape this top piece, extend it a bit, and then I'll probably have this as a bit of a cliff face up the side now because it's quite steep. And I've actually seen that you can buy little climbers figures, so I might have a little climbing scene on a rock face there now. Hopefully you can hear me over the rain. As you can see, I've made a bit of progress now, so I've trimmed this top and extended it both sides, and this lifts out completely. So, and then that'll give me access into the tunnel. So I'll keep it that way and then just have to make sure I design where it sits. And then, I'll just pan back a little bit. You'll see that I've trimmed down this edge just to make it a bit lower so it's not such a steep face this side, the roadside. And then I've been just basically going and cutting up, making a lot of mess, you can see down there. And using a hot glue gun and sticks like to basically just cut and trim and fit all the insulation board. So I've got pretty much to here now, so I don't think I can do any more without needing to take the tunnel out and get that the arch bridge out and get that weathered and put back in. Now the viaduct has been moved out of the way, you can see that the back scenes don't really line up. And the top is the rolling hills and countryside, and the bottom is just blue sky. So you can see now that I've had a bit of a spare off cut of back scene, so I've glued that now on the top there and tried to line up the hills a bit with the ground. And then what I'm now going to try and do is actually paint in and blend in the sides so that it isn't obvious it's just stuck there, and the same blending below a little bit so that looking over the top you just see some distance rolling hills, and then if you look through the bottom you'll just see blue sky. But obviously try and align it so that where the viaduct is you don't notice that there's actually a difference. So it's time to finish the viaduct off, and then I can put that in position and then get on with the rest of the landscaping around it. And so this viaduct is from Fala, and when I first got it and put it together, the sheets you had to go under the arches were thick plastic, like these ones, but single sheets. And it just said warm them in the oven and then bend them to shape. When I first warmed them, then they wouldn't bend to the right shape, and then I thought I need to make them hotter, and then they just started to shrink and shrivel and that, so it just didn't work at all. So I ended up binning those. So what I've now got is some Metcalf brick card that's obviously is easier to bend. So I think what I'll do now is give this a lot of primer, Then I'll put the Metcalf sheets, glue them in place, and then I can paint the rest of it red brick. Although I think it's a stone finish that's quite big, I do want it to be brick because obviously Chapel is quite a famous red brick viaduct. So. Okay, so now I've finished painting them, and then unfortunately I didn't capture it on video, but I thought they looked a little bit too new and too red. The actual viaduct is quite heavily weathered. So what I did is I just got some of the individual colours. I sort of mixed in with the red, some yellows, some browns, some blacks, rust tracks, and a red oxide. And then I was just dabbing them and then just literally rubbing them in just to make it look a little bit more like old brick. So I've watched a couple of videos on how to bring out the mortar lines, so I'm just going to mix up some off-white, sort of mortar-y, cementy type colour, and then probably water it down a little bit because that seems to be the best option, and then brush it on so it can get into all the little mortar lines, and then wipe it off, and that'll probably actually age the bricks as well a bit. But as you can see, it does settle in certain places it's hard to get to, and it did start to make the bottom run as well, which did scare me a bit. So I might just wait to see how it tones down, and then looking at some of the reference pictures of the viaducts I've got, and I'll insert a little photo here. You can see that actually the bricks are really badly weathered on the viaducts. There's a lot of white salt, I think it is, that comes out of them, as well as dirt and grime on them. So on these ones I've actually deliberately put a bit more white on it, but I might just go over them with a little bit of black just to add a bit more dirt now, because the white's almost wiped out the dirt. But yeah, actually I'm quite pleased with them really, they're not too bad. So that's my viaduct now painted. So the actual rubbing in the mortar lines worked quite well, I thought. Certainly in certain places it's taken up more than others. And then I've just done a bit of weathering powders over the top of that as well, just to add to it. I don't know how well it's come up on the camera, and I've sooted up the top bits quite a lot there. And then what I didn't film, unfortunately, if I take this off, is putting the brick papers on. So, and again, I've just dirtied them because to match the walls really. So it's just brick paper glued in underneath, just cut and curved. So yeah, really pleased with that. So let's put it on the layout and see how it looks. That's my viaduct now all fitted in. Took a little bit of jiggery and pokery to get it all in place, and it's now glued. I wasn't going to glue it, but it took so much work to get into position that I thought it's going to be impossible to take it out anyway, so I've committed and glued it. Before I glued, I did seal just around that back edge and around here, all the way around there, so that when I eventually come to do my resin pour, I know it's not going to go any further than that because it's been sealed. And hopefully you can see there now the difference with the backdrop as well. Sort of coming down into the valley. Now obviously when you're looking at both like that, you can still see that there's land above and no land below, but when you're looking from the top you just see the land, and it sort of works. Not quite as blended in as well as I'd hoped, but not too bad, especially look at an angle. But you know, it doesn't look out of place at all. And then likewise, if you're shooting down low, all you just see is, and it's quite dark anyway, you just see the clouds and the sky of the background. And even when you see the two together, you don't really, brain doesn't really work out that that looks odd. And I just started to glue in some more of the bits along here, the bank, and around here and up here. So I've just got to put a small edge along there to create the river bank, both sides, and then blend that in there and all the way up here. So that's my next job. Well, that's a busy day of chopping and cutting and that. Still got quite a lot of polystyrene on me. I've had a good hoover up, but it seems to cling to everything. Anyway, I pretty much think I'm about there where I wanted to be as far as sort of sculpting the actual valley and the around the bridges and that. As you can see, I've got both bridges are now in, all glued in place. I've got all the polystyrene and that all glued in place and sort of roughly shaped to what I think will create the valley and that. I still need to do a little bit more around the edges of the embankment for the river. But other than that, it's pretty much there. I'll just pick up the camera and just give you a quick close-up of it. And then I think I'll call it a day for this episode because I think the next one's going to be putting some bandage on it and to lock it all in place, which is quite scary because I've not done that before. But yeah, I'll save that for next time. It's pretty dark out there now, so a long old day modelling. So just pick the camera up and give you a quick tour. So yeah, you've seen this before, but I've now got the roadway coming down with the hillside. Going to have a rock face on there, and I've got my lifting top, and that'll be grass as a field. Maybe some sheep and that in it, and some fencing around it. I've got the tunnel entrance now weathered, and that's pretty much in place now. A bit of an embankment that will go up there. If I pan back a bit, you've got both bridges, or the viaduct and the bridge, should I say. And then the viaduct that you saw earlier, that's all now in place, glued. So I'm pleased with that. And then panning around this side, which is the hillside that goes back up to Chapel Station, and I've got the tunnel entrance there for the fella to go and turn round. So yeah, that's pan back completely, a see it all. And then I'll put a fascia on the front here to finish it off once I've done the river itself. So pretty pleased with that. This is a coach up there, which is just testing clearances and checking the track work. But all in all, that's pretty good. So yeah, the next episode will either be doing the bandaging, or if my rest of my falla bits arrive, I could finish that off and just check that's running before I lock everything in place as well. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and to subscribe to the videos if you want to see the future ones, and hit that bell icon as well. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.